What's up? How you doing? Here we are. I'm here with my daughter Amanda.
Hello.
And we're gonna have some tea. Nice night. A little bit crispy out here, but not that bad. It's mild. So it's a perfect evening for tea. Long time ago, I met some people that were from India, and they made me tea, and it was just mind-blowingly good. Very delicious. They added stuff. I think there was cardamom and 13 herbs and spices, but they were secret, and they made it for me. They added some milk, and I took a couple of sips, and it was delicious. So tonight, I usually have Lipton tea. I love stash tea also, but tonight we're gonna have something called Downton Abbey. Almost like it wants to say Downtown Abbey, but what does that say?
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey. And you Arab. And
it's a show.
Oh, that's what that is?
It's a movie.
I did not know that. Because I don't watch these stuffy looking shows. There's two maids here. I don't know if you can see that, but a couple of maids. And I guess let's say Republic.
Let me see.
The Republic of Tea. Republic of Tea makes it.
Yeah.
Right? So we're gonna open it up now. First we gotta heat up the water. So we're gonna turn on. Look at that. Get some heat going there. Perfect for a night like tonight. A little warm your hands up, maybe cook them up a little bit. Look at that. That's like the engines on the space shuttle. So we have a cast iron tea kettle here. Yeah. Just wait for this to heat up a bit. Back it up a little bit. So we're gonna open it up and take a little smell. That smells delicious. Amanda. Isn't that good?
I love it.
That smells delicious. I don't know, I can't really describe what that is, but it's very delicious. Delicious. Wow. So this will heat up in no time. That's a good source of heat. It's cold fusion. And I have 2 cups here. This one here looks like a little English tea cup. Nice looking, blue and white. And then I have mine. That's Amanda. She's gonna have this one, that one. This one here is from the Grand Canyon. I love the Grand Canyon pottery, or what do you call this stuff? Teacup and saucer. But this is heavy. Like you lift this up. This one's light compared to this. This
that one has
heavy.
thicker glass.
This one's much thicker. So that's it. We're just hanging out here. We're waiting for some pizza to arrive tonight, and chicken wings. So we're doing both, pizza and chicken wings.
From where?
I think we're getting them from Pizza Hut. We usually get chicken wings from Wingstop, but not tonight. Huh? Yes. Yes. What do you want to know? No, we're getting it from Pizza Hut. For real.
You're joking.
Yeah. So, watch your hair. Yeah, you feel that? That feels nice. You know, I always picture myself, especially when I can't sleep at night. Once in a while you have insomnia. Once every few months. Doesn't happen that often, but it happens. And sometimes, instead of counting horses,
Sheep.
Instead of counting sheep, I actually count the horses. But instead of counting sheep, I count horses. And when that doesn't work,
Alligators.
No, I actually I fantasize about being in the middle of a really bad blizzard on top of some mountain, maybe in Colorado somewhere, but there's a massive blizzard going through, and there I am in a little shelter, you know, maybe I don't know, 10 by 10, and I have a fire going. I have one of these on top, and I got the tea, and I'm sipping a little cup, and I'm looking out the window that I have in this this shelter, and I'm kind of enjoying the view of the massive blizzard going by. And sometimes I even imagine that I have a nice bowl of beef stew, and I'm eating it by the window, watching this massive blizzard go by. So I was actually around when the blizzard of '78 hit, and I had a good time. But I do remember doing something very dangerous. And back then, you know, you're a kid. Nobody would watch you. You're just on your own, which I liked. I don't like this new system now where parents shadow their kids around everywhere. So anyway, what happened was the plows, the bulldozers, the plows, they piled up these massive, you know, snowbanks. And one of them, the way it was formed with all the ice and everything, created like a tunnel. And half of it was on the sidewalk. If you were to make all the snow disappear, you would see that half of that was on the sidewalk and the other half was on the road. But it had a tunnel, and we would go into this thing, me and a bunch of the neighbors, the kids, not the adults, and we would sit in there all day, you know, playing in this igloo thing. But now, thinking about it, I think, what about if a plow, you know, brought more snow and kind of rammed into it? Or maybe a car, I was going to say a cow, but maybe a car lost control and slammed into the snowbank thinking there was no one in there, and then here we are. It was like maybe 5 or 6 kids in there. And then we'd get all crushed. But back then, never thought of it once. I could see So, we're going to shut it off because you don't want to overwhelm the boiling part. And then, see, this is made out of wood so you don't burn yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of bags. Man, that smells good. If you ever go, I got this from World Market, which I'm a big fan of that place.
Without me.
Yeah, but go to Downton Abbey, and you ever get this tea with the 2 maids on it. It's made by the Republic of Tea, and take a smell out of it.
It's like those teas that are like made from like the movies,
Right.
like are from the movies, because Downton Abbey.
We're gonna let it seep in there for a bit. I'm kind of like the 5-minute rule guy. You know, I believe my tea bag should sit in the hot water for at least 5 minutes, even longer, but at least 5. The wimpy people, they put it in, they dunk it 2 or 3 times, and they squeeze it a little bit, and then they throw the bag out, or they use the bag a couple of times. I never use the bag twice.
That's
I always
weird.
put a brand new bag. But the wimpy people, they'll do one of these things with a Lipton bag, or Tetley tea or whatever, and then they toss it, and then they start sipping. I don't mind
the flavor in there.
Yeah, I don't mind tea that weak, but I want it to be a little bit more powerful than that. So we let it sit for a few, 5 at least, like I said, and then we'll take a little drinky poo. So we're gonna do some editing because I'm not gonna sit here for 5 minutes rolling the tape, because then it gets kind of boring on the channel to watch. But sometimes I yap, and 5 minutes go by and I don't even notice it. Still have my lunchbox here. Believe me, Area 51 does not have anything like this. Those are all rumors, made up stories. I wish they were true. I wish the aliens were there. I would love to get visited. and I would go. Very fascinated with the universe, very fascinated with what exists out in the universe, very fascinated with what the universe is held inside of. That answer probably will never be answered, maybe, but you know, what is the universe expanding into, and how can some people believe the universe is infinite if it had a beginning? It just doesn't seem logical to me. If you have a beginning and it's expanding, that at some point it would be infinite. You know, in order for it to be, for me to believe that it's infinite, it would have to have always existed. And who knows, maybe it did. Maybe it just keeps recycling, and that's why we're still here. So anyway, I will shut the camera down, and then we'll wait a few minutes, and then I'll start it back up. All right, we're back. Tea's ready, and we're gonna try it.
Is it wood?
What?
Is the whole thing made out of wood?
No.
Oh.
All right. Watch your hand. All right.
The sugar's gone.
I can smell that. That smells so good. Wow. Yeah, that just on its own, just the smell alone, lets you know that that is really good tasting tea. Let me see that. Yeah, like I said, I had relatives. I can remember my grandfather making tea and then doing a couple of dunks like that with the bag and then putting it to the side here and then sipping it. And I always thought that that was the way you did it because, you know, I don't know, it's too powerful this way. And then I realized, you know, that's not enough time. You're wasting your tea. But maybe they saved the bag. And then I knew an old man who was born in 1910. And he would use the same bag 4 or 5 times. I mean, he would literally put it in until nothing came out. So we're gonna try it now. Wow, that is delicious. Probably have to let it cool down a little bit.
How old would he be if he was still around?
He would be like 112 years old, sorry. He was born 1910. 1910. And he worked at Sears when
Did he
was
die?
Yes, he did.
How do you know?
I know. He worked at Sears when he was like right out of I want to say right out of high school. Went to Sears, worked there for a bit. Then WW2 came by, and he ended up going to the war. But when I drive by a Sears, I think of him because he used to tell me all the stories about him working at Sears. Big fan of Sears and Roebuck. He never said Sears. He always said Sears and Roebuck. Everybody else said Sears, going to Sears. He would say, I'm going to go to Sears and Roebuck.
What does that mean?
That was the other guy. That was Sears' partner. Wow.
Why do they not call it Sears and Roebuck?
Well, people get lazy. You know, anything here in the U.S. especially, anything that's longer than 2 syllables, they get tired. They have to chop it down. It's like Sears. But it's really Sears and Roebuck. And you know what? I know about Sears and Roebuck from another source, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. At the end of every Mr. Rogers, they would always say that Mr. Rogers was brought to you by Sears and Roebuck Foundation. Guess they gave a few bucks for the neighborhood. But yeah, I still love Sears.
But it's closing down soon, right?
Yeah, which is surprising because when I was a kid, Sears ruled. Sears was like the king of all department stores. You know, now, the new generation, you say Sears, and most of them don't even know what that is, but if they do know, they look at it like a failing business, but Sears was massive. Matter of fact, when we would go somewhere, not somewhere, but my father would go to the mall. He never said, let's go to the mall. He would always say, who wants to go to Sears?
KFC story.
Huh?
Do the KFC story.
KFC?
Yeah.
Which one?
The one that like your dad asks, what do you want for dinner? You automatically know that it's KFC.
So when I was a kid, we would go to Maine a lot, which is one of my favorite states. Love Maine. And we knew somebody who had a little house there, and they gave us the key, and they would say, you can go whenever you want. And we would go all the time, but I loved going up in the fall time, the winter time, you know. So we'd go up in the fall time, and they had a big forest in the back, and I would disappear. I was little, but I would just disappear into the forest. That's because we could do that back then. Now they would have the police looking for you, and they'd probably arrest your parents if you were under 12. So anyway, we'd get up there, and it'd be nice and chilly at night. It'd be like 28 degrees at night.
It tastes milky.
And I would go outside, and I'd gather some wood, and there was a fireplace. The only source of heat in that house was that fireplace, and we'd light it up in the living room. A very cozy house. Good memories in that house. And then my father would say, who's hungry? And of course we were hungry. There was a big window in the front of this house with a nice little comfy chair there, and you could see out into the road. And my father would take off and go to KFC. And back in those days, it wasn't KFC, it was Kentucky Fried Chicken. People are afraid to say fried now, so they changed it to KFC. But he'd take off, and then about 30 minutes later, he'd come back with a big bucket, bunch of corn, and they had the bread back then, the nice soft bread. Now they got rid of that. Now it's like these biscuits. They don't taste as good. That bread was nice. It was like that Hawaiian bread.
King's Rolls.
Yeah, that one. And then my father would come in, and we'd have the fireplace going, and then we'd either go to the kitchen, but if the kitchen was cold, I mean, sometimes they had this cast iron stove. They'd light that up, and it would heat up the whole kitchen. But a lot of times we would eat in the living room where the TV was. And I always have these good memories of those years going up to Maine. Went up to Maine a lot. Played skee ball. There was a place up there for skee ball. I used to save dimes, you know, between trips. And I had a secret area in my room that was underneath in a cabinet behind some books in a plastic container. Had my dimes in there, and on top I had like cloth, as if somebody was going to come and take my dimes. I had probably like $3 in dimes. Every so often when I'd get change for something, I'd see a dime and I'd put it in my secret stash. And then we'd go to Maine, and I would take my secret dime collection and play skee ball with it, because back then it was a dime. Delicious. You like it? Not good tea? That's good tea.
It tastes milky when there's no milk in it.
Right, it's got something in it. It's very flavorful. But anyway, so that was the KFC thing, which in those days was Kentucky Fried Chicken. That was our meal in Maine, nighttime. And then in the morning I would first you'd go to bed at night, and the room was ice cold. You'd get into, there were these comforters. You'd wrap yourself up in these cold comforters, and then your body heat would warm up. In the morning time, you'd get up, and the air around you could see your breath in that house, So then you'd walk on the cold floor, go to the bathroom. The bathroom was icy cold. And then you'd go into the living room where the fireplace was, and you'd throw some lumber in there and light it up, and then you'd feel the nice heat building up. But yeah, I have very good memories of that house, that little house. All right, had a little interruption there. My wife just informed me that our food came, but they forgot the chicken wings. So the driver said that she was going to go back and get them. So we'll see what happens. Usually they lie, so we'll see. Anyway, tonight is the right night where it feels like that kind of feeling. Like this is the kind of temperature you would feel inside the house. Maybe a little bit cooler when we would get there. It'd be nice and cold. And then I would go outside and hunt for wood, which, was all over the place. But in the back, there was the people that we would get the house from, my parents' friends. They were my friends too, but they had a property that extended back, I don't know, maybe a couple of 100 feet. and then there was a stream, and that's where their property ended. But the forest went for miles. It's just a huge forest, and I would go back there, and that was my $6 million man days. So I would pick up speed in slow motion, and I would jump over the stream, which was probably like, I don't know, maybe 3 feet, you know, lengthwise there, widthwise, sorry. And I would pick up the speed, and I would jump across in slow motion, kinda, and land on the other side, and I'd make the noise in my head, you know, the bionic noises, and then I would continue, and eventually there was a waterfall in that forest that I discovered, and I would go and sit on the rocks and watch the water go over, you know, and then I'd roam around. I discovered all kind of things in there. But when my father would say to me, this Friday night, we're going to Maine, I was, you know, super, super happy. It was almost like, you know, the best news in the world that we were going to Maine. I love Maine. I still love Maine. But yeah, we'd get in the station wagon. My father had an Impala station wagon, Chevy Impala, 73 model. 350 engine, very roomy inside, and that car brought us everywhere. But eventually we had to retire it because transmission started to go.
I drank my tea.
How was it?
It was really good.
Yeah, that tea is A+. Anyway, that's it.
Sleep-inducing.
Huh?
Sleep-inducing.
Yeah. That's it. We're gonna go check up and see what's going on with the food inside.